以下節目將以粵語及普通話廣播，敬請留意。
歡迎收睇《眾坊街》，我係潘超強。喺澳洲做生意嘅人唔多唔少會覺得呢度樣樣嘢成本都高，包括員工嘅工資。目前澳洲法定最低工資呢係每小時17.2毫9，不過因為種種原因，未必每個僱主都會依法俾足工人呢個工資。當中甚至有啲僱主係克扣工資而受到當局制裁。公平工作申訴處就曾經提出過唔少呢類嘅檢控。嗱，佢哋最近咧特登向華人社區推展宣傳運動，講解佢哋部門嘅工作範疇，希望加深僱主同工人對於最低工資嘅認識。今年開始，短短3個月，公平工作申訴處已經發布咗將近60條新聞稿，當中絕大部分都係一啲判罰嘅個案，涉及僱主違反法例，冇向工人支付應得嘅最低工資。
What we find is most people, most employers want to do the right thing. They want to pay the right amount, but they might just not understand what that is. So they might not know that the federal minimum wage in Australia is $17.29 an hour, or that if a waiter is working in a restaurant, they're entitled to $18 an hour and even more on Saturdays and Sundays. We have one guy.
公平工作申訴專員 Natalie James 話，僱主俾唔足最低工資嘅個案喺移民社區更加常見。
We know that some people find the system confusing and complicated, and many people get confused. Some people, if they set up business in Australia and they haven't been here very long, might not realise we have these awards and have these minimum wages.
公開嘅個案唔少涉及餐飲行業，其中又以呢一宗引起本地主流媒體嘅廣泛報導。事件涉及一間位於悉尼華埠門口外面經常見到有人排隊光顧嘅馬來西亞餐館。公平工作申訴處指出，2012年2月至2015年4月期間，呢間餐館支付6名散工每小時11蚊嘅工資。事實上，佢哋受到餐館行業協定嘅保障，應得嘅最低工資係每小時22蚊。6個散工都係持有不同類別簽證嘅外籍人士，4個係留學生，另一個持有嘅就係俗稱嘅過橋簽證 （Bridging Visa）。經過調查之後，公平工作申訴處成功為6個事主追討拖欠嘅87000蚊工資。不過，由於過程之中經營餐館嘅3名合夥人向調查人員提供虛假記錄，公平工作申訴處最後決定將事件送交法庭處理。Natalie 話：呢件事只係冰山一角，喺塔州河伯特亦都有類似事件發生過。而且有關嘅中餐館已經唔係第一次為例。
A restaurant, in fact, that catered for the Chinese president when he came to visit not too long ago, where the restaurant was paying just $11 an hour to some Chinese workers on visas, and so this was very serious, and it was especially serious because this employer had come to our attention before, so we had given them information before. And so that's not okay. If we find someone and we help them understand the law and then they're still paying well below the rates they should be paying, well, that's the kind of situation we take very seriously.
最後，有關嘅餐館僱主願意同公平工作申訴處合作，賠償俾工人同埋作出道歉。
The owner of the restaurant was prepared to enter into a formal arrangement with us that requires them to pay back the money. It also requires them to do a number of other things so that they understand their obligations, they get the right sort of advice, they have to make formal apologies, and of course we issue a media release, and that means that their restaurant has some bad publicity.
最低工資逐年調升，但係唔符合呢個標準嘅招聘廣告，仍然可以輕易咁喺一啲網站揾到。曾經同朋友合夥經營餐館生意嘅李曉文話：食肆行業冇依法俾足工資，可以講係不成文嘅行內規則。
我自己本人咧就完全唔係呢個酒樓業嘅，即係完全唔識嘅。咁啊，跟我個 partner，我個 partner 咧就係當然佢咧就係做開酒樓噶啦。咁啊，做開酒樓咧，佢知道啊，我喺呢度地方嘅話咧，就係你想請人就請人啦，咁樣就話唔使你即係話嗰啲即係 award 啊，即係政府規定你最低工資咧係俾幾多錢？佢話我哋個行頭咧係咁樣噶，咁啊大家都知㗎啦，咁因此咧就係俾咗一啲工資咧，根本咧係未能夠達到咧澳洲政府正式嘅要求嘅標準。
餐館生意已經結束幾年，李曉文話：食肆行業競爭激烈，如果唔節省成本嘅話，基本上好難生存。
你嘅租金係1/3嘅成本，你嘅食物係1/3成本，你個伙計人工係1/3成本，咁所以咧就係樣樣嘢都要控制得好緊要，咁先至咧就可以喺個行業度生存。
李曉文係伊士活商會嘅委員，代表區內各行各業嘅大小商戶同政府機構建立橋梁。佢話：僱主俾唔足最低工資，並非全部都係刻意嘅行為，有部分僱主特別係來自移民背景，確實對澳洲法例了解唔多。
有一啲行業咧係特別咧，就係即係亞洲人嚟到經營嘅行業咧。佢覺得咧我做開係咁樣，佢就係咁樣啦。因此咧，有好多時咧就完全咧冇理會到政府咧有咩新嘅法例啊，或者現存嘅法例咧需要僱主咧係遵守嘅，咁佢未必達得到呢個標準嘅。
公平工作申訴處嘅報告指出，喺2014至15年度，佢哋接獲超過46萬個電話諮詢。其中問到有關工資嘅佔最多，有7%，其他方面嘅諮詢就包括工作條件、解僱、休假同福利等等。至於需要公平工作申訴處介入處理嘅求助個案，就大約有25000宗，佢哋為工人追討返總共2230萬嘅欠薪。Natalie 話：求助個案之中有1/10來自持簽證嘅外來勞工，而且呢個數目正係上升，估計仲有好多持簽證嘅人士唔敢投訴。
Perhaps they've never heard of us. Perhaps they don't know that the minimum wage applies to them or that there even is a minimum wage. Maybe they're worried about their visa. They're worried that the Department of Immigration will be concerned if they come to us about their wages.
佢哋之所以會擔心移民部，係因為佢哋幾乎都係超時打工嘅留學生，違反咗學生簽證規定，有可能被撤銷簽證。
Many of these students are breaching their visa conditions. They're working more hours than they're supposed to, more than the 20 hours a week they're supposed to. And that is not a good thing to do because it immediately makes you vulnerable. The employer will try and hold that over you if they're a very unscrupulous employer.
較早前，連鎖便利店71就因為有多個取得特許經營權嘅店主聘請留學生克扣佢哋嘅工資，支付低到只得10蚊嘅時薪。公平工作申訴處懷疑當中涉及制度化嘅剝削，調查工作到而家仍然未結束。
We are talking to 7-Eleven head office. There is no doubt that for many years there has been systemic exploitation of workers in the franchise network, and we had told 7-Eleven that some time ago. And so we're very pleased now that the company is taking some steps to do something about this conduct, but we have also put 7 matters into court involving 7-Eleven franchises in the last few years. And so that tells you something about the pattern of behaviour going on in that company.
行動組嘅主管 Carrie 話：克扣外勞工資嘅僱主往往會刻意唔保留工資記錄，為公平工作申訴處嘅調查製造困難，所以佢建議僱員自己做好上班同工資嘅記錄。
Record keeping is a requirement under Australian workplace laws, and we do find instances where employers haven't kept records. Now, where records aren't kept, we will issue a fine, an infringement notice on the spot. But what I would encourage employees to do is to keep their own records, because when an employer doesn't keep records, it does hinder our investigation. It is against the law. But if an employee has kept their own records, we're able to use those as part of our investigation process.
Kerry 話：公平工作申訴處其實係冇需要知道投訴人持有乜嘢簽證。佢話：就算違例打工嘅留學生都可以放心向公平工作申訴處舉報有關嘅僱主。
We work with immigration, but we don't have an obligation to report to them on people's visas. People don't necessarily have to tell us the visa they're on. There is no obligation when they talk to us to explain the type of visa they're on. And also we work closely with immigration, so if someone is working with us and there are issues around the conditions of their visa, we can work with them and with immigration to see what resolutions we can come to.
目前每一項違例行為嘅最高刑罰，公司係罰款51,000蚊，個人係罰款10,200蚊。呢啲被追究法律責任嘅個人可以包括僱主、公司董事同埋負責出糧嘅人。就算公司已經結業，因為違例而被罰款嘅個人，仍然要履行佢嘅法律責任。好似喺較早前，惠州一名經營餐館嘅老闆多次克扣工資，被罰14,200蚊。佢之後將餐館結束，到另一間公司上班。公平工作申訴處繼續追討，取得法庭判令，強制呢名男子每2個星期從佢嘅工資扣除500蚊，支付佢拖欠嘅罰款。Natalie 話：違例僱主只要肯配合，公平工作申訴處一般唔會將個案送交法庭處理。但係如果係刻意行為，又對公平工作處嘅介入不予理會，情況就會唔同。
If you ignore us, if you deliberately exploit workers again and again, then you will probably end up in court and you will almost certainly end up with your name in the paper.